Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. I am Tom Shillue. Let's check in with TV's Andy Levy at the Red Eye T-Stack. Andy?
Thanks, Tom. Coming up on the big show, did the media overhype Saturday night's New York City bombing? Our all-star panel takes a look at what can only be described as the greatest segment ever. And a new video from Avengers director Joss Whedon features a bunch of actors telling you why you shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. Prepare not to have your mind changed. And finally, North Korea accidentally reveals that it has only 28 websites. So that's MSNBC.com and 27 others. I kid the MSNBC. Back to you, Tom.
They know you're kidding, Andy. Let's welcome our guests. Her podcast is on the Forbes Women Network. It's like Forbes Men, but with only 78% of the subscribers. Host of the Forbes podcast, Uncommon Ground, comedian Alli Breen. His nickname in college was Oral Roberts, and it wasn't because of his sermons. Host of the Sam Roberts Show on Sirius XM and Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast, Sam Roberts. I'm sure he still gets to be on Fox and Friends. I thought they would have given him the axe by now. Fox News contributor.
Every time.
We're not running out of him. Author of In the Arena, Pete Hegseth. And he loves the Constitution. He'd marry it, but I'm not sure if that's constitutional. Sitting right next to me, Reason Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Matt Welch. Okay, let's start the show. You can get anything on eBay, even stuff for making bombs. The FBI says Ahmad Khan Rahami built his homemade bombs using materials purchased on the e-commerce site. According to Vice News, the terrorist shopping list allegedly included electronic circuit boards and electronic igniters intended to be used for fireworks. He also purchased 5 pounds of citric acid from eBay. The listing for the item described it as great for bath bombs and candy making. I only like one of those things. Rahami now faces charges including the use of weapons of mass destruction. But 2 years ago, the FBI concluded he was not a terrorist. So did he convert recently, or did the FBI drop the ball? Former CIA and NSA Director Michael Hayden talked to Megyn Kelly about the challenge someone like Rahami presents.
The challenge that the Bureau has when they investigate a man like this man is to identify not a criminal, but to try to discover what I would call the not yet guilty. And that's a really, really demanding task.
Well, what do you think, Pete? Should they have been able to stop him? Should the FBI have stopped the guy?
Well, he also traveled multiple times to Afghanistan and Pakistan, to Quetta, which is where the Taliban and others are headquartered. So there were some flags. But we forget how overwhelmed the FBI is, how many inquiries that they get. And you can't, if the guy hasn't said, I want to commit a terrorist act, or isn't clearly promoting ISIS, and he's not hitting everyone's database, then what are they going to do? If they investigate and find that he's not shown an inclination to be a terrorist, their hands are a bit tied. But what every official has said is political correctness holds us back from being honest about the depth and nature of the threats that we face. And so right now, our intelligence agencies are still behind the curve.
So political correctness, but is it political correctness just in spirit, or is it in the law? Could they, when he came back from Afghanistan, could they say, look, not for nothing, but we looked at this guy and now he's going to Afghanistan, let's tap his phone?
If we truly felt like we were at war and had the tools necessary to do that, understanding the enemy that we're facing, then I think we would have more tools at our disposal. There's a lot of reasons why civil libertarians would fight back against that, and I totally get it.
I wish one was here.
I wish one was here who might have a difference of opinion, but if you're at war and your enemy is amongst you, how do you use the tools you need to identify them? It's not a perfect science.
Okay, what should we do, Matt?
Civil libertarians like warrants, that's kind of the purpose of it. You have suspicious people, law enforcement has reason to believe someone is suspicious, that's who you go after. Who you don't go after is your email and your email. You go after Sam's, but I mean, you keep it mum here. I feel like we don't, and I'm speaking out of ignorance here, as are most people who talk about it. Not our esteemed colleague here, and not the Fox News people who wrote a great story that you guys passed around as part of the preparation for this. It's actually terrific. Go look at it, foxnews.com, a bit about all the different like lone wolf people who've been on different watch lists and who committed terrorist acts anyways.
But we're still not catching them.
I feel like we don't have an intermediate step right? There isn't someone making 34 grand sitting in their basement doing nothing but following the social media activities of these people. You don't need a warrant for that. You don't need anything for that. You just need to say, look, okay, if dad calls up on his son to the FBI and says, you know, my son's kind of a terrorist right now, and also he's hanging out in Waziristan or wherever the hell, that person, maybe you got to put him on the let's check out his Facebook account kind of thing. You don't have to tap anything. Just watch what they say and do. And at least half of the people on that list in the Fox News story, there might have been some kind of alerting, because people leave traces of what they talk about and do on social media because they're dumb and they don't understand that stuff is public. I feel like we don't watch that to the same degree.
And we should be more adamant amongst the Muslim community to say, see something, say something. Not just see something, maybe say something.
Dad
you
said
call
something.
No,
Dad called.
but even in the weeks leading up to it, there were people that saw signs that didn't say something. You're right. Dad did say something 2 years ago. You got to keep saying it.
I don't think they want to say something. Sam, I get the sense that they end up wanting to protect their own, and they want to stick together.
Look, I've seen Snowden, so I know.
Yeah.
The NSA is investigating everybody, which means whoever they caught, they will have been previously investigated. So
I only wish, I wish that the nightmare Snowden scenario was coming more true, because this guy was on eBay, Alli. I mean, I think we should attract his internet. So if he's on eBay buying citric acid, we know he's not going to start a lemonade stand.
Right. That's the thing. This isn't unreasonable profiling. It's a guy whose dad called him a terrorist. He's trying to buy bomb supplies on eBay. Why are we not keeping him under surveillance all the time?
Well,
that makes sense. And also, I don't get why people are protecting their own. Like, if there was a bunch of people that were blonde-haired and freckly going around committing crimes, and someone was profiling me, I'd be like, I get it. It kind of sucks, but I'll put aside 10 minutes for the TSA to pat me down, because that's what I'd be mad at the people who look like me that are committing these, terrorist attacks. I wouldn't be mad at the FBI for taking a closer look.
Well, isn't that true? I mean, you don't see that a lot in these instances when you have, some of the, we got the clock boy or whatever. It's always like, oh, look what you're doing to us. But the thing is, people in these communities, shouldn't they be put under a little more scrutiny?
Of course,
Yes.
That's common sense. Israel's done it, others have done it, because if you're at war, it's not that 100% of Muslims are terrorists, it's that 100% of terrorists we've seen in this war are Muslims. And as a result, let's focus our scrutiny there, not the 80-year-old grandma going through TSA. We don't have that third way. Either we're at war on the battlefield, or we sort of say, hey, it's just civil society here. People are at war with us, using our freedoms against us. We need to be smart about making sure we don't circumvent our Constitution, but we also give additional tools to law enforcement to ferret these people out earlier. Deport them, whatever it takes, if they're going to be on the side of folks waging war against us.
Can't deport U.S. citizens.
Okay, I get that. I'm not saying US
I don't get
citizens
it. I wish we
completely,
could.
We don't deport all the refugees.
Why not?
But what if you declare ISIS? What if you declare allegiance to our enemy? I mean, there's got to.
That's
at
where
some
you
point,
revoke
you
it.
give up your
We
citizenship.
do have treason. There are laws that affect this right now. They're on place.
Maybe
Okay.
more
So
laws
there's
across
two
the
ways
way.
I
to
want
go
to
after
read
them.
this, and then we can talk more about this issue. But did the media overreact to the bombing in Manhattan? That doesn't sound like the media. Media critic Jack Schaefer argues the alarmist coverage turned a brush fire, his words, into a mighty conflagration. And it's helped make America unable to put these smaller attacks into their proper context. Schaefer writes, living as I do in a rational world, I interpret the clumsy bombing and misfire and the speedy apprehension of the suspect as evidence that the genuine threat from terrorists is low, very low. I feel safe unless I start watching TV, after which, if I let my reptilian brain take over, I feel a bit panicked. Well, this guy sounds like he's got some problems anyway, Sam. But do you agree that we should follow our rational brain instead of the reptilian brain? Is it all overhyped?
I think that all brains are rational and reptilian. That's where the brain meets.
Yes.
But to be devil's advocate, I think that even if they had found out that he had bought citric acid, look at his photo. He used it at least partly to make candy. He's not a skinny guy by any
He
stretch
was
of the
making
imagination.
treats.
But this is, on one end, this is kind of a feel-good story, because you find out this is like the Inspector Clouseau of terrorists. He's just this bumbling guy who messed up everywhere. But even the dumbest terrorist of all time who was successful, even this guy who couldn't get anything right, still managed to blow up one bomb in New York City. And he did injure 29 people.
There were injuries.
And he was as dumb as they come. So if a guy that dumb can injure 29 people, imagine if somebody who had any semblance of adult intelligence was able, what would he be able to do?
Absolutely, Alli, we see this all the time. Are you scared? You live in New York now. I mean, these kind of things are happening.
Not really. I mean, the chance of terrorist attack is pretty low, so they do amp it up. Makes a great news story. But I think the night of the bombing, I mean, people were more upset about the guy masturbating on my train than they were about the guy who was, committing this act. So
You act like you weren't upset about that.
I wasn't. I'm accustomed to it.
Yeah. Well, look.
So yeah, they do amp it up in the media for sure, but we do have to be careful.
We do, but we were very fortunate this time, obviously. I mean, we were, the next night we were talking about this, it was amazing that no one was killed. There were so many bombs, they were all coordinated all over the place. But I don't think we are, look, I don't want to be scared. I don't want to live in fear, but I think that it is not overhyped. What do you think, Matt?
I think that generally speaking, it is overhyped. Generally speaking, Jack Schaefer is an American hero, despite being a reptile or whatever. He's a great press critic. However, in this specific case, I think he's wrong. I mean, we all live in or around New York. Was anyone scared? Even when the dude was at large. I mean, this is the most concentrated anti-terrorist law enforcement in the country, arguably in the Western world on some level. I wasn't scared at all. I have kids who go to school the next day. Like, people weren't freaked out. They weren't like, refreshing the Drudge Report every 10 seconds or anything like that.
No, even the people in that video with the bomb went off.
People in
they weren't
Chelsea
even
going to
fleeing
block
with
parties.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we've gotten to a place where we're starting to be finally, after 15 years of just absolutely soiling our pants and doing a lot of stupid Shillueian things in the name of fighting terrorism. Just Patriot
like that you
Act
used my name.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's great. I think we're starting to develop a little stoicism on this and say, yeah, you know what, we're going to have some of this for a while. We're going to do what we can to stop it, but like, the Weather Underground and all the 70s nonsense bombers and plane hijackers, it's going to be a phase, and the phase hopefully will end. It's not going to end by turning your cheek to it or pretending like it's not there. You can't be a Bill de Blasio about it and deny it while it's happening in front of you in your own city. However, don't always freak out 24 hours a day.
Don't freak out. This is like, I think Matt is starting to agree with me. Just calmly start to restrict people's civil liberties. What do you think?
Because he's becoming a Shillueist, as we all are. That's the way we see the world. I mean, just because he's a bad tactician doesn't mean the threat is less than it is. I mean, the reality is the ideology has spread. Folks in New York may not be worried, but look at the folks that went to a mall in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where I'm from, and you got a guy slashing and stabbing because he's ideologically motivated. The problem is you're right, the chances of being struck are low, but the chances of this ideology continue to promulgate because our government's not serious about the policies to deal with it, they are higher than people would acknowledge, and the anxiety amps up when de Blasio, Obama, Clinton say, well, the Islamic State isn't even Islamist. I mean, the more our leaders don't take it seriously or won't define it, the more anxiety we have.
It creates anxiety when you have the mayor up here, de Blasio, saying, he says, we don't know. We don't know anything yet. We don't know if this is terrorism. We don't have to say it's Islamic terrorism, but we knew it was terrorism. There were bombs going off. So I think that's what gets us.
Pressure cooker, ball bearings, New York. Yes, it's going to be terrorism. There's no other.
FBI director right here.
Avengers director Joss Whedon is back with a new video featuring a bunch of heroes teaming up to stop a supervillain.
On Tuesday, November 8th, this country will make one of the most important
decisions in its history. You have a chance.
You have an obligation
to be a part of that decision.
You might think it's not important. You might think you're not important.
But that's not true.
Now you're probably thinking, oh great, another annoying political ad with actors being all self-important. You're wrong!
And the only way we can prove that to you is by having lots of famous people.
Lots of famous people.
Lots and lots of famous people.
Just a ton of famous people.
Repeating how important.
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 How important it is.
Keywords important. See, by mocking their own self-importance, it means they're not self-important, right?
But you only get this many famous people together if the issue's
one that truly matters to all of us.
A disease or
ecological crisis or
a racist, abusive coward who could permanently damage the fabric of our society.
Do the math.
I don't know who he was talking about there, do you? Okay, maybe they are self-important. The whole thing is 3 minutes long. I'll spare you the rest of it. But here's some great news. Through his super PAC, Whedon plans to make between 15 and 25 videos before the election. Allie, come on, don't you love when celebrities get involved?
Their fake self-deprecation is awful. They're so hypocritical. It's this group of people that complain that the rich don't pay enough taxes, and they won't film a movie unless they get these huge tax breaks. They complain that Donald Trump's racist for wanting to build a wall.
That's who they were talking about.
That's the guy. They live in fenced-in areas. They live in gated communities and doorman buildings. Ugh, just stop.
Well, Pete, you told me this changed your mind. You're voting for Clinton.
It did. It was all those famous people. How can it not affect you? Remember, you know that commercial out right now by doctors who are not doctors but play doctors on TV telling you doctor things?
Yeah.
This is like actors who are pretend not to be actors but are actors telling you that they're political activists or politically minded.
Yeah.
They really do believe it at the end of the day, that their words said slowly. They all talk slowly, right? Because it has more gravity when you talk slowly, even if you're being ironic in the process. It's nauseating. It's typical. It's exactly what they do. They say it doesn't matter that we're famous. In the end, they say we're famous.
Yes. Sam, there was a couple of non-famous people, or maybe I just don't know them. I don't watch their shows. But were you charmed by their super seriousness?
I was charmed. No, I wasn't charmed. But look, one of the main criticisms of the people who are supporting Trump is that the reason Trump has gotten so far is because he's a reality star. We can't let a reality star, some celebrity, be our president, right? We need politicians. So, in order to figure out which politician it is that we should elect, let's listen to the celebrities.
Yeah.
That's where all the hypocritical nature of the whole thing comes in. That the same thinking of, let me listen to who to vote for based on who these guys tell me, is the thinking of, I should vote for that guy because Celebrity Apprentice is great.
Yes, although this wasn't the cast of Big Brother. These are people from the legitimate theater and the great film tradition.
Yeah.
Which means they know economic policy all of a sudden. Yeah, why does that matter?
Matt, they seem to say that this year was more important than any other year, but I feel like I've seen this video for every 4 years.
Seriously, they had a similar thing with Barack Obama in 2008, I believe, beforehand.
And it was the election of our lifetimes?
Yeah, it's always the election of our life. Seriously, I have to sit through 15 to 25 of these, you said, before the election day. I'm going to join the alt-right. I'm going to become Gavin McInnes if I have to watch more of these. The great and pathetic thing about this is that they're doing this to in a panicky outreach to millennials, because millennials are not rolling over and voting for Hillary Clinton. They're voting for Gary Johnson and Jill Stein and other people. And so they're sending the cast, and I'm not making this up, the cast of The West Wing on a traveling show 20 years after The West Wing was on anybody's lips through Ohio to convince millennials to vote for Hillary Clinton.
They don't even know what The West Wing is, do they?
Why would you?
Yes. But you're telling me all the actors, Martin Sheen
was in that video. If you actually watch the whole thing instead of the clips that were prepared for the show, Tom, you'll see that the president
He's saying he does his show prep and we don't, which is
maybe true.
Did his President Bartlett, this is why we must do this kind of thing. But yeah, they took a picture. All the actors, with the exception of Rob Lowe. I did not see Rob Lowe in the picture.
Oh, he got hurt from that roast. He's never recovered from the roast of Rob Lowe. Okay, I think Joss Whedon should just make some more episodes of Firefly. Coming up, what's the new excuse for shutting down conservatives on campus? The story you'll only see here and on several other FNC shows. There's a new excuse for shutting down free speech on college campuses: security. Writing in the Washington Post, Katherine Rampol compares banning conservative speakers in the name of safety to restricting American civil liberties in the name of homeland security. The comparison is apt. The campus thought police are Taliban-esque in their passion to shut down ideas they don't agree with. Conservatives like Ben Shapiro and Milo Yiannopoulos have been disinvited from college speaking events due to, quote, security concerns, which may be legitimate only because these protesters are allowed to do whatever they want in the name of civil disobedience, and because these colleges are unwilling to do what they have to do when students disrupt events, namely arrest them and make them spend the night in the clink. The colleges throw their hands up and say there's nothing we can do, but Rampol says they're making a choice. When it comes to inflammatory speech, colleges seem to be making a calculation about what will result in less bad PR, accusations of censorship, or the photos of their officers removing an unruly protester who's just pulled a fire alarm or attempted to assault a controversial speaker. So for now, this is the only kind of speaker that's allowed on campus. said she was saying no more hate speech on campus.
Okay.
What do you think here, Matt? Is this?
This is, I mean, we've seen in the last 5 years, there's been a spike. I mean, political correctness never died on campus. We thought it did. We just stopped paying attention to it. Like
we thought it died?
Yeah, like in the mid-'90s, after Bill Maher's show came out, people thought, okay, everyone was using politically incorrect, this kind of this badge of honor.
Yes.
And they stopped talking about it.
You're right. You are right. There was a dip.
I'm totally right about this. But the actual, if you talk to people who work on this, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education do wonderful work about college free speech on campus, defending absolutely everybody, including Milo, whatever. And they'll say, no, it was like this steady. It's just that media interest stopped. But in the last 2 or 3 years, if you ask people, it's gone up like this. It's gone absolutely bonkers here. And I think it's no accident that we're talking about security in the same context that we've been listening the last couple of years about safe spaces. I mean, people are using nonsense jargon to talk about talking.
Yes.
You're just talking. There's just people talking to each other on a college campus. There's no safety issue. There's no like special space that you're just talking. You're on a college campus. So people have kind of lost their marbles, and this has become the easy way out to get controversy out of the way. And it's not unique to college campuses. People do it in towns when they try to block protests from happening. They'll say the same thing. We don't have security concerns. Or
they don't want to spend the money for the security. Yes. I mean, look, Rampel says in an article, if colleges can't provide security, they should cancel all their football games. You agree, Pete?
Let's not cancel football games. Let's take it out of ourselves. I feel unsafe if you show me that video again one more time of that girl chanting. That's more.
Does she make you feel unsafe?
She makes me feel unsafe. I want a safe zone and a cocoon in which to hide. The safety is always the last refuge of a scoundrel that won't actually stand up and say, hey, on principle, this voice is allowed to be heard, whether you agree with it or not. Instead, they say, well, safety. One person could get disrupted, something could happen. I've seen it in many different contexts of my own life as an advocate. If someone complains, you can always say safety. We don't have security officers. Listen, this is a college campus. If you want to provide safety, bring in the officers to make sure that both sides are able to speak, and let's have a conversation. But universities long ago stopped being places of unbridled conversation and became a one-sided conversation where everyone gets to hide from ideas they don't like.
Well, Sam, I think the police don't want to be involved in these things because then when they spray the pepper spray in the kids' faces, the kids get upset.
The police don't need to be involved. It's not a security issue. Like the vast majority of people who are loud about not wanting to see this, they're not actually doing anything. They're complaining, whether it's online, they might be shouting out. And the few times when there is a disruption, when there's a physical disruption, ask Milo if he minded when the video went everywhere of the one guy who got up on stage and hit him. Asked him if that slowed him down.
Wait a minute. Do you think he relishes in all this attention?
Look, there is no... let them... It's just not a valid excuse. Let him punch Milo. Milo doesn't mind. His tour is it's the dangerous tour.
Yes, it's dangerous something. I forget what.
I can't remember the other word, but it's supposed to be dangerous, which means if there's no security, let's just get dangerous. You know what I mean?
What are these kids going to do, Allie, when they get out of school? I mean, they're in their safe spaces.
I know. They think they have the right to not be offended, and nobody has that right. That's the place in college
they do, though.
where
now they do.
People are given that right. I mean, that Yale video. Did you guys see where they sent out that email saying that
she screamed him down?
Not that. There was another Yale video where they ran this college professor off town because of a Halloween costume.
Yes.
There was an email that went out, and instead of clapping, everyone was snapping.
Oh.
Exactly.
That's like a
because they were
coffee
worried
house?
this was too divisive after.
Yeah.
And someone literally online said, and I don't know if this is true, that they were worried if anyone had one hand that they wouldn't be able to clap in there. I mean, that's the level that it's gotten to.
Yes.
Out of
what
control.
about the people who can't clap? You know what? Some people can't snap either.
Yes. What if you've never
Everyone
learned?
Can snap. Think of that, guys.
But the next generation should be called the snowflake generation. They just think they need to be protected from everything.
And don't worry, not a single one of the snowflakes has ever actually been in a fight, so we shouldn't be scared of anything.
Right.
No, seriously. When they were bullied in high school, they went to a mediator and said, I'm scared.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be scared of, these guys.
All right, have your events, nothing to be scared of. Coming up, this man apologizes for nothing. TV's Andy Levy next. And don't forget, Red Eye is back. Subscribe on iTunes and at foxnewsradio.com. Hey, welcome back. Time to find out what we got wrong and what we missed from TV's Andy Levy in the Red Eye News Deck. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good.
Terror stuff. Fun. Pete, you talked about political correctness holding our intelligence services back. But in this case, the Rahami thing, what the FBI is saying is that they did interviews and database checks and that no evidence was found showing that he had radicalized. So in this case, it doesn't seem like political correctness had anything to do
No,
with it.
I don't. It doesn't. Well, first of all, he did travel overseas extensively, which should have
Sure.
factored into it probably even more. But generally speaking, when you talk to officers who are out there doing the dirty work, they say we're not allowed to take ethnicity, travel, religious background into account when we're investigating things, which is totally absurd in light of the war we're in.
Yeah, okay. I do think, though, maybe you disagree with me, that the real problem here, and I think Michael Hayden this is what he meant when he talked about, he said, quote, that trying to discover what he would call the not yet guilty, like that's the hard part. We need a good precog program. And I don't know why we don't have it.
I agree.
Don't understand. Sam, you said you saw Snowden, so you know the NSA is investigating everybody.
Yes, I did.
Did you actually see the movie?
I saw the movie.
What did you think of it?
I mean, it was very Oliver Stone. You know, if you like Oliver Stone movies, where kind of every inch that he can take to send his message home, he does.
Yeah.
But it was fun like that, you know.
Yeah. See, I like Oliver Stone movies, and I didn't think Snowden was all that good.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't think it was Oliver Stone enough. I like my Oliver Stone wacky. I like my JFK Any Given Sunday Oliver Stone.
Right. Willie Beeman.
Exactly. Steaming.
Willie Beeman. He keeps the ladies.
Tom, you said if this guy is trying to buy citric acid on eBay, he's not making lemonade.
Yeah.
Lemonade is perfectly halal. I just want to point that out.
Okay.
Alli, you said if freckly people with blonde hair were going around committing terrorist acts, whatever, you would understand if you got profiled.
Yes.
Well, let's get real. You would also be the first person to start turning in other freckly blonde hair.
I'd be reporting them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just to get rid of the competition.
Oh, maybe. That might be part of it.
Yeah. 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 I heard she was doing some bad stuff. Take a
Get
look
her
at
off
her.
the street.
Yeah. The Jack Schaefer piece. Tom, you read the part of Schaefer's piece where he said, quote, I feel safe unless I start watching TV, after which if I let my reptilian brain take over, I feel panicked.
Yeah.
You left out his next sentence where he said, quote, you probably feel the same way. I don't, though. And
I don't either.
As Matt was saying, I don't know anyone in New York City who really does.
Yeah. I think he's got a problem watching television. He should watch less television.
I think he needs to watch more sports. Jack, if you're watching this, well, don't change the channel. Watch this.
Yeah.
But then watch more sports or something. Matt, the other thing is, Schaefer actually says, quote, I'd be the last person to say the press overcovered an incident in which 29 people were injured. Then what's the problem?
Yeah, I think Jack kind of overthought this. And to your point about sports, he once upbraided me on Twitter because late at night, after a few thousand drinks,
Sure.
I might tweet a little bit about baseball.
Yeah, like the Angels.
Yeah, that might come up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I unfollow people who tweet about sports. And like, if you're unfollowing sports Twitter at 11 o'clock at night, you might just go take a walk.
Yeah.
Go do something else.
I often tweet about the Mets, and he hasn't unfollowed me, though I suspect he's had me muted for quite some time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pete, you said just because the bomber, was a bad tactician doesn't mean this stuff is any less of a threat. That's the thing, though. This guy seems like maybe he was a bit of a buffoon. He still managed to injure 29 people.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You've been muted.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
No, he did. Exactly right. 29 people. I mean, it could have been 29 killed. I mean, in the wrong scenario, at the right time, they only have to be right once. So body counts or numbers are irrelevant in this. If you're able to be successful, if you'd been better at it, it would have been a higher body count, and maybe we'd talk more about it. But it's the ability to do it and the ideology that drives it that remains important.
Yeah, absolutely. The Joss Whedon video. Alli, you said the actors in the video that their fake self-deprecation is awful.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they thought that if they sort of addressed the whole self-importance thing, and sort of were ironic about it, that it would be okay, but it still wasn't.
No, it made it worse. It just makes them look like they're belittling everybody.
Yeah.
They're just telling the little people how to vote.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the video was good in the sense that it was mostly well written and acted, but it was bad in every other sense because these things always are.
Yeah.
They can't not be bad.
And I think Mark Ruffalo said that he would get naked if
that was at the end of the video,
I don't know if that's a threat, or I don't know who that's a vote for. Who wants to see that?
Yeah.
Is anyone into that?
I'm curious.
There we go. There's the demographic.
Pete, Matt?
I'm sorry.
If we want to see it?
Yeah.
Oh, my wife wants to see Mark Ruffalo's penis.
Maybe 10 years ago.
And I kept quiet for a reason. Yeah.
Wow, Alli, that's a little ageist.
Oh, sorry. I know. I'm going to get kicked off.
Anyone else notice there wasn't a single mention of Hillary Clinton in that video?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Kind of interesting. Matt, you talked about how the cast of The West Wing is going to Ohio to convince millennials to vote for Hillary, and you noted that Rob Lowe is not among them. In addition to Lowe, 9/11 truther Martin Sheen, who was in this video, will not be making the trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
His picture is right there on the selfie.
Yeah, they put the picture there, but he's apparently not.
Is he a full-on truther?
In 2012, he said, quote, "There are obviously a lot of unanswered questions. Let me leave it at that. There are very, very disturbing. The key to that is Building 7 and how that came down under very, very suspicious circumstances."
I guess he didn't just leave it at that.
Yeah. I'll let you decide if he's a full-on 9/11 truther or not. Colleges using security as an excuse to ban speakers. Tom, you said, quote, Catherine Rampel compares banning conservative speakers in the name of safety to restricting American civil liberties in the name of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
And you say the comparison is apt. The campus thought police are Taliban-esque and they're passionate to shut down ideas they don't agree with.
Yes.
But you agree with restricting American civil liberties in the name of Homeland Security.
I do. I only like the comparison. You know, when I started writing it, I got into that. It got too long. I didn't want to disagree with her on that one and then agree with her on the other thing.
Okay.
It just was getting too messy, Andy.
Sure. No, I could see how disagreeing with yourself gets messy. Matt, you referred to the phrase safe space as nonsense jargon.
Yes.
That is triggering. And lastly, Sam, you said it's not really a security issue. The police don't need to get involved. Mostly, it's the security issue is people yelling.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is like, just be quiet.
It's right. And if you're not quiet, campus security can usually escort you out.
Yeah, somehow comedy clubs have managed to get by with just like one like up and coming comic as security.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I am done.
Thank you, Andy. Coming up, how many websites does North Korea have? Let's just say I have more barbershop quartet sites bookmarked on my browser. But first, take it away, Kennedy. You have a few minutes? You could browse North Korea's entire internet. Due to an apparent mistake, the secretive nation has revealed there are only 28 websites using North Korea's unique .kp domain name. Yes, there are only 28 websites. By comparison, the U.S. has over 750. U.S. software engineer Matthew Bryan uploaded details on some of the North Korean websites. There's the state news agency site, kcna.kp. There's the friend.com.kp, a social network that limits you to one friend. Cooks.org.kp, which taunts North Koreans with recipes. And guess what? We here at Red Eye found a few others. There's theworm.com.kp, the official fan site of NBA legend and bad boy Dennis Rodman. My personal favorite, kimjongunreal.kp. That's where you get to see the supreme leader doing extreme sports. Kim Jong Unreal. But last but not least, geocities.com. Oh, that's where that went, right? I knew I hadn't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you think here? The 28 websites. It's all you need over there, right?
It's streamlined. It's good. There's way too many websites here. I wouldn't mind finding out that they were getting rid of most websites. I mean, the only time that I've taken advantage of the fact that in America we have access to thousands and thousands of websites is either in my dark moments where I'm lonely or just these time-wasting exercises where I come out of that, like I'll go to website after website after website and feel dumber. I won't feel better. I would love the idea of just streamlining everybody. Your bookmarks are all, it's just there's 28. All web browsers come with all the websites in it. You don't get overcomplicated. It doesn't become a whole thing.
We should be able to pare it down, right?
Yeah.
Matt, you were just telling me you don't go to websites anymore.
No, I use Twitter and email and Slack. God help me, and other things like that. Yeah, Twitter has changed. I mean, Twitter has replaced Matt Drudge for me, or other sites I would go to and click refresh on all the time.
But then you're looking at the feeds of people that you follow.
Yes.
And do you make all your lists and everything like that?
No, it's too much work. It's a big pain. But no, I mean, what you're talking about, and I know it's at least somewhat in jest.
No.
Like, AOL tried to do that, right? Back in the late 90s and the early aughts. Like, let's have a little walled garden that we'll cultivate for you. We don't want that.
I liked Mac. I used to go to Macworld. Macworld had everything I needed.
If I go to WWF on AOL keywords, it would have everything I needed. Some pictures, a little message board, and done. No reason for all the other websites. Chat room.
Pete, I'm beginning to think North Korea has some problems.
What?
We're talking about North Korea. They only have 28 websites. What's going on over there?
They got 99 problems, and websites is not one of them. 28 websites. I mean, I still have some friends, though, that use, like, Yahoo News.
Yeah.
You know, because they've just always looked at Yahoo
They
News.
organize the news for you.
It's all right there, to your point. They don't need 28. They've got one. Yeah, North Korea's got a ton of problems. But when you actually think about dictatorship and authoritarianism, ultimately you have to say, how many websites are we going to have? How about 28? And that sounds good. Why do people need more than that? I probably visited 4 in the last year.
Yeah, life is simpler in North Korea, right? Look, there's Kim Jong-un waving. Allie, what do you think?
Look at all the people in that train.
That cooking one is just mean. I mean, how many ways are there to cook relief aid rice and rotten fruit? I mean, that's just terrible.
Well, that's it. The sites we gave you at the top, those were real.
They're real, I
Those
know.
are the real
And people, by trying to go to those sites, broke their whole internet. Someone posted it and their whole internet went down. So now they have 0 sites.
And they do have thefriend.com. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
it is sad. Okay, coming up, the ugliest shoes ever, according to people on social media. And people on social media, never wrong. It's two great tastes that go great together. Nobody is saying that about this new collaboration between footwear brands UGG and Teva. The shoe is half boot, half sandal. The cost, $225. The company that owns UGG calls them quirky, cool hybrids that are designed to take on the urban trail, adding that they are at the intersection of fashion and function. I had an uncle who died at that intersection. People on social media certainly disagreed. Said one fashion observer, "Whoa, this new actual Teva and UGG mashup is a mullet for feet." People may laugh now, but who knows? They may become as popular as the Steph Croc, the Birkin Pump, and the Five-Finger Cowboy. You know, I actually might wear those.
The cow toe boots?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wear actual cowboy boots, but if they got the toes, maybe. Looks like you could surf in those things.
Pretty sweet, yeah.
But of the ugly Uggs, would you wear the UGG Teva?
I would not. When I first looked at it, if you throw the photo up, it actually looks like it's a full toe, right? And I thought maybe I would wear that shoveling in Minnesota. And then I realized, no, that's you can
it's
see
open-toed.
It's open. There's no conceivable reason to ever wear that shoe. And also, as someone from flyover country, what is the urban trail? I don't know of this urban trail.
I don't know the urban
trail
trail.
for the urban trail.
But I think some people like to have their toes out, Matt. I think they do. When they travel, I don't want to see people's toes, but I get on a plane and I see people with those toes sticking out. It bothers me.
Well, apparently people want their toes out while they're recovering from a broken ankle. That's the only purpose of that shoe. It makes no sense in any other context. They got like a sneaker bottom. They got the Birkenstock kind of open toe situation, and then they've got the orthopedic ankle support there. It doesn't make any sense at all, and I don't imagine anyway. I mean, one of the shoes that you made a lot of sense. The Birkenstock.
We were just kidding, and it's a better shoe.
It was a much better. Can you put it back on? It's a good shoe.
Yeah, I think it's good. Sam, what do you think? You work in radio. Would these be handy for you?
Look, that's a good. The Birkin Pump.
Yeah,
I will defend that shoe, and I hate Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
First of all, I think I got a notification pop up that my aunt died of malaria on the urban trail. I think it was the urban trail. I had to caulk the wagon.
The Oregon?
Maybe that's what it was.
People, they were eating each other.
Beyond being on radio, I'm kind of a shoe connoisseur.
Yes.
Okay, I know shoes.
Yep.
Number one, of course I would wear this shoe. It's cool. Number two, you have to be the best at something. And if you're like, they're like, we're not going to make the prettiest shoe ever.
It's not the prettiest.
What if we make the ugliest shoe ever? And look at it, by the way. What did you make fun of? The Steph Currys in there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talked about the Steph Currys. Everybody bought the Steph Currys because they were ugly. Everybody bought the Starburys because they were ugly. People like ugly shoes.
We got to go, guys. I'm sorry, Allie, I can't talk to you at the end here.
No worries.
Thanks to everybody. Good night.